Hi, Alison Yates here. I'm going to show you the difference between all these 2 needle tools and how you would use them in different circumstances. Okay, so starting with the Pergamano 2 needle tool, this is the fine 2 needle tool. You can tell it's fine by looking at the end there. Can you see there's 2 little dots? So that is the Pergamano fine 2 needle. Then we've got the Pergamano bold 2 needle, and you know it's bold because on the end there you can just about see it's got 2 bolder dots. If you look at the 2 together, you can see that they are slightly different. One's much bolder than the other one. Okay, that's the Pergamano. Then we've got the ParchCraft Australia, the PCA. This is the fine twin, and they call it a twin rather than a 2 needle, and you know it's fine because it's got blue rings. Okay, then we've got the again PCA bold twin, and you know it's bold because it's got red rings around it. Then PCA do one that they call a mini stamp edge. We have here the fine mini stamp edge, and again you know it's fine because of the blue rings, but you do need to know the difference between the mini stamp edge and the ordinary twin, and I don't know whether you can just about make the difference out there. The difference is in the way, the closeness together of them. The mini stamp edges are very much closer together than the twin. And then you have the bold mini stamp edge again, which has got red rings at the bottom, so you know that it's one that cuts. And again you can see, I just hold it up against the black there, that the cutting one, the mini stamp edge, are much closer together. So now we'll show you how to use them all and the differences. Okay, so I've got myself a piece of parchment here that I'm going to work up against the embossed line here. You do need, I can show you here, I just zoom out slightly, a thick perforating mat. Okay, there are times where you will want to emboss on a thin mat first, and then perforate on a thin mat first, and then re-perforate. But for the most part, you can really get away with just doing it once as long as you do it deeply. So we're going to start with the Pergamano ordinary fine 2 needle tool, and I'm going to start perforating on the edge here. You zoom right in so you can see the hole. Oh, too far as we go there. Now, generally speaking, you put 1 needle into the back hole each time you perforate, and then you perforate up against your embossed line. Okay, so that's a few holes of the fine one, and then for comparison we would do a few holes of the bold Pergamano 2 needle tool. Now you can see the difference there in the size of the hole that you've made. They are actually the same width. If I hold that up against the others there, you can see the width is the same. It is actually just the size of the needle that is different. Okay, now I'm going to use the ParchCraft Australia 2 needle fine, or fine twin as it is, and these are very much finer needles. If you compare them to the, let me go back a little bit, the Pergamano ones, they're probably just a little bit finer, I think, and very much closer together. And again, might need to experiment a little bit if you're using this one, how far to perforate down. You want to give yourself a good, as large a hole as you possibly can in order to cut successfully. And then I'm going to use the bold twin, bold twin, which is the bold 2 needle tool, and these are very, very much bolder. As you can see there, the difference. Okay. Now we've got the PCA mini stamp edge in fine. Now what these do, the mini stamp edges, is that they cut as they go. But you have to experiment a little bit with these to get the right depth of perforation. Sometimes you need to go very deep, sometimes you need to perhaps not go quite so deep. If I just press that very, very gently, that just pops away. I'll cut it away in a moment so you can see the full effect. And then I'm going to just do the same with the bold needled mini stamp edge. Now I know with this one I don't need to go all the way down. I need to just perforate quite shallow for it to work. If I tend to go down too far, I know that this one cuts too flat. So it's a question of pushing away as you catch one needle into the back hole, push away, and there you've got the perforation. I'm just going to slip that bit there, so that then if I take that away, at that point, just tear that off there, you can see that you've actually got some reasonable perforations here. They're the ones with the bold mini stamp edge, and they're the ones with the fine mini stamp edge. I think actually, personally, I prefer the bold one. I think they're just that little bit further apart and a little bit neater picot edges for you. Right, so the other thing then you need to do is if you're going to use if you've used the twins or the 2 needles, you will need to cut. And so let's cut some of these. I'm going to cut these bold 2 needle perforations here. Again, when you're cutting, make sure the waste paper is under your scissors or snips, and you put them in, you bring them down, and you snip that little picot edge. Now this one here, this is the very, very fine PCA 2 needle, extremely fine, but very good for smaller areas. My particular one almost tears as it goes, but it's quite a nice neat little edge there. Then what have we got? We've got the Pergamano bold 2 needle tool and the Pergamano normal 2 needle tool. Oops. There we go, and tear that bit off there. So you can see what we've got. As I say, we've got, starting this end, there's the nice picot edges of the normal 2 needle tool, the bold, there's the ParchCraft Australia fine and the bold, and then we've got the mini stamp edge fine and the mini stamp edge bold. Now what you wouldn't do is use the mini stamp edges if you're doing both sides of a line. You would have to use either your bold or your fine 2 needle tools. I will just do a little bit to demonstrate. So if I'm going both sides of this line, I'm using the bold Pergamano 2 needle here, going up to the line, just about touching it. You've got to make sure that you have a decent embossed line. And I'm going to come the other side of it and come up here like this. And then you would cut both sides of that line, which you want sometimes when you're doing some lace work. But if you did that with the splitty one, I've got the 2 needle cut here, you run into the danger, because if you've perforated it like this and it's split at the same time, when you come to do the other side, here, you are in danger of it bending. Now you see, as I come up here, it's not going to happen for me today, is it? It's going to be very well behaved, but you are very much in danger of this tearing because it's got no stability here. And you see that that's very weak, and so although I've just about done it in this instance amazingly, it's not to be recommended, because if you're doing something very special and it tears, then oh blow, it's not so good. But that, I'll just finish that off. You see how it's bending and it will break if I'm not careful there. So that's the thing, if you are doing a piece of work where you've got to perforate both sides of an embossed line, far better to use one of the twins or 2 needle tools to get you either side safely. So I hope that's been of use to you. So just to recap, really, you can use any of these tools for perforating around an edge or for perforating inside a shape. It just really depends on the size of the shape and the effect that you want. But the easiest is a bold 2 needle or twin tool. Okay, thanks for watching.